Hey team, I thought I was done with this challenge, but I've had it in my head as I've been going through this where there's this extra bit that I kind of want to touch on. And all of that has to do with SVG. Okay, SVG has been around for a long, long time, and we use it everywhere. And thankfully, in this project, they did too. So the background image is an SVG, the star is an SVG, these icons are SVGs, and we can lean into that in interesting ways. Okay, so to start out for this demo, I want to create a fork. Okay, anytime that we're doing work that is unique, we should be forking inside of Git. So I'm going to do that. In fact, anytime you're doing any work at all, you should be forking. But as a solo project, I've been kind of winging it. So just something to be aware of. Forking is your friend, okay? I'm going to use a checkout command, -b, and I'm going to call this feature SVGs everywhere, okay? Brilliant. So now we are on that branch and we can get started. So if I have to back it out or do anything, I am safe, okay? Into the code. We have all these assets right here, all these images, and other than the favicon, which is a PNG, everything is an SVG, just like I said. So starting at the top, I'm going to make an assumption that I can use one image for the background, okay? It's not quite accurate, and there are ways to do responsive SVG. That would take a lot more time than I have today. So I'm just going to do this. And with VS Code, we need a little bit more, because if it used to be that if you clicked on this, it would just open into code, and they've gone and done this preview thing, which actually annoys me a little bit because I'm so used to seeing code. But you can still get to it. You go open with, and you select on text, and now it is the code, okay? And that's what SVG is. It's just more markup, okay? It's just like HTML, or it's actually based on XML, but I have my code editor set so that it shows up as HTML when I do this, which means that now I can format that, okay? And it's going to look like code, okay? I'm going to copy this and bring it over to my index file right here. And right after the opening body tag, I'm going to start moving things around, okay? So I'm going to put that SVG in there. This swirl, I actually want to move that down here, okay? So I'm going to attach it directly to the SVG now. And now I can start to see what is going on. And the answer is not much, okay? It's kind of moving around. It's not extending anymore, because whereas before we had something on the, well, it was on the before, right? If we go into our CSS down here and we find it, where's that dot swirl all the way down? There it is. Whereas it was on the before, now it is directly on the SVG. And SVG doesn't have a before pseudo class. So we need to do something else, okay? What we want to do here is first just comment all this out. We will get rid of it in a second, but right here, we can move these sizes up. We still want those sizes, and we still want the media query just like this, but we don't want the image. So the image goes away, bang, and all of this code also gone, okay? Add a little space just so we can see it. Now you would think that this would actually do something. It does, but not what you were expecting, right? You were probably hoping that the image would extend out, okay? And that's because SVG has its own little container, okay? So even if we go in here, you might think, oh, I need like object fit of cover, okay? This isn't gonna work. Nothing really works. Instead, what you need to do is go back to the SVG, okay? So let's get rid of that for a second. I'm going to go over to my HTML, and right here on the SVG tag, I'm going to add preserve aspect ratio. Okay. And preserve aspect ratio is very powerful. This is the secret sauce for SVG. So if you're trying to wrap your head around how to do object fit in SVG, this is how you do it. Okay. So it gives you a few controls for X and Y, and then you get to decide whether you want it to cover, which is what it's currently doing, which is why it's not going right to the edge, or slice, which is, slice is like cover, and meet is contain. Okay. So in this case, we're going to do X, what is it? X mid, Y min. The capitalization matters. And then we add a space, and we can add meet or slice. Okay. One will actually cause it to grow and expand and lop off the excess material. The other one will force it to always be 100% visible. Okay. So right now I save this, I go back. This is meat. I can tell because we have the space here, but now it works, and I can resize this and it is all still centered. Okay. It all still works. Now, again, it's not what they were asking for. So if I bring down my tools and I switch over, it's still going to be kind of this thing, right? You can see a little bit off in the corner. So we're using just the one image. There is ways to swap this out inside of the SVG. I'm not going to do that today because, again, it's a lot more work, and I don't want to burden you with that. Okay, something to research for later. But that's the first step. We have it, right? It just kind of works, and when it gets small enough, it pops into place, and everything is good. Okay. So that's step one. We were able to get that, but we can go further. So as an example, if we go into our CSS all the way at the top, I want to add 2 new tokens. Okay. The first one is going to be fill color dark. Okay. And that's going to be -- dark purple. Yes. And then I want to do accent. Okay. And this is going to be our pink. Okay. And that way we have something that we can use, because now that that's in line, we can style it. Now that it's in line, we can absolutely style it. So back to our CSS down here. Where was it hiding? It is right here. We can add a little bit more and put our path in there. Okay. Now path, we actually had 2 paths. One was right here. One was right here. One used a stroke. One used a fill. Okay. And because of how all this works, it's not really going to hurt anything to do it this way. So I'm going to do it the simple way and just set on the path a fill equal to -- fill dark. Okay. And a stroke, whoops, like this, equal to -- fill accent. And that is it. Okay. Nothing should really change, but I can absolutely prove that it will change just by changing this color to, say, green. No, let's not do green. Green is ugly. Let's do blue, right? Let's try blue. Okay. So here it is. We save it, we refresh it, and the blue comes in. Still a little bit hard on the eyes, so I probably picked a bad one there. But now you can see we could also change the stroke and have our own color palette. Okay. So reversing this for a second and moving on. Okay. The next thing that I want to do, other than committing, git status, git add dot, git commit -m. This is a feature for the background. Okay. It's actually a refactor, isn't it? So we should probably do that. Let's go here. Okay. Refactor background, switch to inline SVG. Okay. There it is. We did it. Moving on. So the star, right? If we go back, we have that star. this can go back. Let's disable that for a second just so we can see. So we have the star, it's right there. We can go and get that the same way. So right click, open with, make sure that we're opening it as the text editor, not the preview. We can format it. Hopefully you're lucky enough to get that. And copy this. Then down here in the H1, we replace this image. So we get rid of the image and replace it with the SVG. Now, that shouldn't actually do anything. And it doesn't because we already styled the SVG, okay? Way over here, underneath the styles, it has icon, right? And we set up our SVG so that it had a block size, and the base, way up here in our defaults somewhere, we added SVG with a display of block. So everything is in place, okay? But we can still play with this a little bit. Again, it was a pass. So if we go down here to has icon, okay, and then we add that path and we set the fill to be -- fill accent color, okay? Again, we could change this to say Firebrick just to see what's going on. Refresh it and it changes, okay? Because it's in line, we have that control. So changing it back like this, excellent. That leaves us with this icon here. And for this, because of how they set this up, we aren't going to be able to use the icons that they give us. Instead, we have to kind of make one, okay? So what we're going to do is jump over to, I've been using Safari, so I'm going to use that. And I'm going to open up CodePen, okay? I have a shortcut that does this for me, but here is CodePen, okay? It's going to be an SVG, just like this, and we are going to add some properties to this, okay? So the first one is going to be a view box, okay? If you're wondering, and if you ever want help on this, it's actually most of this, okay? Except for the fill. So we can actually copy and paste that. Go right here, paste it in, add a little bit of cleanup, and then we're going to change this 24 pixels, 24 pixels, 24 and 24. Now, the view box, let's get rid of the fill as well. The view box is not pixels. It's just a measurement. It's whatever you want it to be. So what is 24 in the view box? It could be miles, okay? It could be astronomical units. It's whatever your mind wants it to be, okay? But this creates a grid of 24 something by 24 something, whereas the width and height are based on the browser. So the width and height are pixels, but the view box is not. And that's important to remember when you're doing this manually, okay? So right here we have that, and then we add in a rectangle. But before that, let's go down here really fast. SVG, background color of Firebrick. I always like that one. Should show up, and it does, okay? Excellent. Now, because we're going to be working on this, I want to be able to see what we're doing. So I'm going to add a little cheat code here, okay? Transform origin, just like this. I'm going to set it to top left. If we don't do this, it's going to zoom in and we won't be able to see part of it. So I'm moving the origin so that we can do that. And then I'm going to transform, if I can spell it right, transform scale 10, okay? So at this point, things should get really big. They don't. What is going on? I missed something. I misspelled transform. There we go. Excellent. So now we can actually see what we're working on. I won't be moving these into our code, but just so that I can see what's happening, okay? Back up here, okay? We need 2 rectangles, okay? So the first rectangle is going to be the crossbar, and the second rectangle is going to be the up and down, okay? If we're over here somewhere, right, we have this icon. It also has rounded end caps. So if we scroll down somewhere, right? We have that. We can totally get this done. Not a problem at all. So here we are. We need a height equal to 2. To what? To whatever this view box is, okay? 2 astronomical units. 2 kilometers, 2 miles, 2 whatever, okay? Doesn't matter except for this SVG. Doesn't matter, okay? Width equals 11. Where did I get these measurements from? Well, I got them from the Figma file, okay? So I'm not guessing. They aren't 100%, but they are close enough, okay? It's already closing out for me, but we should totally do that. Because this is XML, it is XML based. We do need the final closing slash for SVGs. We don't need that for HTML, but we do need it here, okay? So go ahead and do that. And then moving on, we need to position it. So we have a Y value and an X value, okay? The Y is 24 divided by 2 minus 1, because it's 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? So that would be 11, okay? And then we have the X, which is, you can already see it positioning there. X is going to be 24 divided by 2 minus 11 divided by 2. So 12 minus 5.5, which is 6.5, okay? Which should put it right in the middle, or at least pretty close. 65, 65, okay? It looks weird. My eyes are playing tricks on me. It looks like this side is bigger, but it absolutely isn't, so that's okay. Okay, the last thing to do is the rounded end caps. Because we're using a rectangle and not strokes, we have to do it ourselves. So we use RX, and we set it to 1. If you set this to something big, it will start to do weird things to your shape. So be careful with that, okay? Just set it to whatever half the height is here, okay? Boom, done, okay? That brings us to our next rectangle, which is the opposite. So we have, this one is 11, this one is 2, this one is 6.5, this one has a dot in it, so it's being kind of silly. Done, okay? And at this point, we can style it out. So right here, we could go in to our SVG, and underneath the rectangle, right, we can start to do stuff. Oh, you know what? I'm in the wrong place. We should actually be here. So border radius is 50%. Get that done. Makes it nice and round, right? Could we have used a circle in here, right? We could have added some sort of a circle and done it that way. Absolutely, right? There's no wrong answers here. SVG is awesome that way, okay? But because we can round the background, let's just do that, okay? What else can we do here? So we need the width, the height, right? The width is still 24 pixels. The height is still 24 pixels. Do we need these for this? Probably not, but it's good practice, okay? We have the background color, we have the stuff, and then we have, actually I'm going to put it right under the background just to keep it all squared away. This is going to be white, okay? And there it is, okay? It looks like some sort of medical sign, but that is okay, okay? Because we did not specify any sort of fill color, we can put it on the SVG and it cascades down. With the other ones, we aren't that lucky. So it has fill none here, and then it has fill. If I change this fill, it doesn't affect the path, which is why we had to target it a little bit more, okay? What else? Oh, let's do some animation, okay? That's always fun. So let's say SVG hover. We aren't going to hover in the other place, but we're going to do this, okay? And on the rectangle, we're going to set, let's get the first child, okay? and we are going to transform, rotate 90 degrees. Okay, excellent. So when I hover this, it's not going to do anything. What am I missing here? SVG rect first child. Did I spell transform wrong again? Yes, I did. There it is. So waiting, and there it is. Now you might think, oh yeah, that's working great because it lines up with this one, but actually it doesn't. Okay, and I can prove that by getting rid of this one just for a second. Okay, and now it's gone. Where is it going to? Well, the problem is that for SVG, if you do nothing with SVG, it's going to try to transform from the top corner. So it's basically taking that line and sweeping it down somewhere in here. Okay, so it's going and it's gone. Okay, which means that we need a little bit of magic, which I was hinting at with this. Got ahead of myself, but we need to do transform origin of center. And you might think that helps, but what ends up happening is, oh, it actually does work. That's not supposed to work. What's going on? It might be because it's actually in the center of this box. So everything is centered, which means that it's rotating. But traditionally, you want one other thing in here for SVG, and that is transform box. Okay, and that is fill box. Okay, what this is going to do is it's going to say whatever transforms you're putting on here, apply it directly to the rectangle. Don't put it on the SVG. By default, it is the SVG, but I want it on the rectangle so that it turns properly. In this case, I might not have needed it. Happy discovery. But you don't want to be tricked by that. So if you're doing transforms on a specific element of your SVG, transform box, fill box is your friend. Okay? Just like this. Now if we bring this back, everything is going to go here, which is not quite right. So we should actually change this to last child. And now, there it is. Okay. It looks like it's kind of vanishing away. Really snappy, but again, I'd like to do more. Okay. And so up inside of that rectangle, again, I'm going to do transition of all 0.5 seconds, ease in, out. Okay. So waiting for it to do its thing. And now it kind of does this, which is kind of okay. I mean, it looks kind of slow, actually, right? So I think what I'd like to do is grab this bit here, copy it up, paste it, go first child, and let's make this 360, okay? So now we should be able to get a little bit of a spin going. That's kind of cool. I'm not against it, but just because we can, 360 plus 90 is 450. And now we should be able to spin it, okay? And it looks pretty snazzy that way, I think, okay? So here we are. We have remade our SVG. So copying that, let's bring it back to the code right here. Oh, you know what? My code editor is going to do weird things. So I would like to get rid of this. It doesn't have to be neat, but it does have to be one line. If I don't do this, it's going to do weird things when I do multi-cursor, okay? So as a single line, this is going to be easier. I go and find my closing summary tag, select them all, arrow back to the beginning, so it's at the beginning of each of these, and paste, okay? Now it's going to reformat. Reformatting is not an issue at this point, but getting it in, that single line is going to help, okay? At this point, I should be able to see something. Let's go and look. Yeah, there it is, right? It's there. We are in good shape, but we need to get rid of the old one, okay? Style. Let's go find, where is it? It should be in summary. So this summary is now gone, okay? And this summary icon is gone, and this icon is gone. We'll still need open. Don't get rid of that. Just get rid of the placeholder, okay? At this point, we can save it. We should be able to see some stuff moving around. Everything still works. Excellent, okay? Now we need to style this back out. So up here, what I want to do is I want to put that on details. And the reason for that, okay, is purely personal preference, okay? What I mean by that is I'm trying to reduce the number of selectors, and I'm going to want to use this open in a bit, okay? If I put that down in here in the summary, then I need to go details, summary. Again, I talked about this in the last video where it would have to be rectangle or whatever it was, okay? So there are extra steps in doing it this way, in doing it down here, okay? So details, here we go. I'm going to go and grab some code because we have it right here. I'm going to copy this, SVG, copy, excellent, okay? I think that should be it. So this transform goes away. Nope, not like that. My cursor is jumping around. There we go. Background color is -- fill. Was it the accent color? It was the accent color. Good. The fill is going to be -- white. So let's go and do that. Everything else stays the same. It's all looking pretty shiny. Okay. Again, that transform box does the magic here. Down in details open. Okay. In details open, we had something similar where we had all of this SVG stuff. So we can copy that just like this, pasting it in, getting rid of the hover because we absolutely don't need that. But we do need the SVG because we need our background color to change, okay? And this is fill dark, okay? So hopefully, if we go back here, we should see something interesting where now it spins, okay? Just like this, okay? So everything is kind of spinning. It's hard to see both at once because my eyes don't want to focus on that, but everything is spinning, everything is animating. And we did all of that using SVG. We had to custom make it, but it gets it done. So that leaves us with Y, okay? And the Y is this. Now that we have inlined all of our SVGs, I want to go and do a thing, okay? Before that, I should probably commit because I have not been doing that, right? I have been a bad little boy. Let's go and check this. So we have a bunch of SVGs just like that. We have some styles. Excellent. Okay. Git add dot git commit -m in quotes refactor icons. Sure. Make icons inline SVG. Okay. Brilliant. Let's change it. Here it comes. Okay. Back to the code. All the way up to the top. We have done this in a way where we have these things here. And if we go and change some of these, so we go and get pale purple, and maybe we change pale purple to crimson. So now the body is going to be this light red. Okay. And the heading is dark purple. We also have a dark purple down here. So let's go and do that. Okay. Actually, this one can be dark red. Okay. And then this dark purple can be fire brick. They don't have to be the same. And that's the great thing here. Okay. I'm just making it up. So here's pink. Pink is going to be orange. Okay. So we go and get that. Let's change it to orange, just like this. And light pink, these two are going to be misty rose. trying to remember all of my different name colors here. There we go. We have changed all of these. We could actually uncomment this away, right? Or delete it, and it would still work. Okay? So right here, save it. Going back, this is the moment of truth. We hit refresh and everything changes. Okay? The background's changed. All of the lights have changed. We can still close it and open it. Our hover states are still working, right? Everything is still there. And we managed to do that because we inlined all of these icons, okay? They all still just work. There's nothing magical happening here other than the fact that they are inline. And that is awesome, okay? So one last time, git add dot, git commit, -m, this is style, change color, palette. Brilliant, okay? That leaves us with, what have we done, okay? So let's review. Right here, we started by taking our background image, okay? And we moved it in line to here, just after the body, which means that we had to move the class around, and we were able to make it work still using preserveAspectRatio. preserveAspectRatio is the magic sauce for SVGs and making them work in the same way that Object Fit does with images, okay? But doing that, we didn't even remove the fill and the stroke from here. So those defaults are still in there. If we forgot to add our styles, we'd still get something, which is nice. But we were able to overwrite these with CSS, okay? From there, we went down and we changed the star icon, right? So we didn't do anything there other than drop it in, right? That fill is still in there, the path, all the stuff is still working, okay? And again, we were able to style this with CSS. So it is now controlled by CSS in terms of color. We could also change the D value, but I mean, if you want to, right? It's changing the D attribute is a whole science to itself. So be careful with that. Okay. And then we went and made a custom SVG for the open and close icon. Okay. It looks pretty close. I think over here, if we go and check it, this icon is 24.38 and I made it 24. So shame on me. It's not exact. Okay. But it is close enough. Close enough. And all this power, we now have all this power. So if the designers come back during a holiday and they say, we want to color it to match the holidays. Maybe this is, I wasn't thinking this way, but maybe this is Chinese New Year, right? Some sort of spring festival with the red and the gold. Now it's done, right? And we can do that. We can do those seasonal colors or even changing the whole color palette, right? So if the company says, we're no longer doing purple, we're doing fuchsia, which is still purple. That's bad on me. We're doing green. We're doing something, right? You can change it quickly. So my advice to wrap out this whole thing is whenever possible, use inline SVGs. And yes, I did have to copy and paste this 4 times, but in actual development, you'd probably be using a templating language, which means that you're only writing it once and using it 4 times. So don't get hung up on the copy and pasting when whatever templating language you're using is going to take care of that for you. Okay. As much as possible, I recommend, and I personally inline my SVGs because it's just so much power. That's it. That was a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but being able to cover off all of this good stuff and let you see the magic of this, I feel pretty comfortable about that. Did something surprise you? Is there something that you would have done different? Would you have done it this way at all? Or would you have stayed with the images, right? I want to hear all of that. So hit me up in those comments. and let's keep that conversation going. Until then, I will see you in the next one.